Time value of money overview, CFA level 1 2021 with FTC Global. What do we have in this reading? This is the complete content of your reading 6, the time value of money. Interest rate interpretation, components of nominal rate of interest, effective annual rate of return, compounding versus discounting. And within this we have 5 subtopics: single sum future value, ordinary annuity and annuity due, its future value, present value of single sum, present value of ordinary annuity and annuity due, and finally the present value of perpetuity. This is the complete content of your reading. Every LOS is covered, so we will make sure that everything in the LOS is covered in the reading in our lectures. Alright, so starting first with, what is interest? Interest is the charge for privilege of borrowing money. If you borrow money, nothing is free. There is no free lunch. If you borrow money, you will have to pay something, and what you pay is interest. Borrowing money results in payment of financial charges, interest cost, or simply expressed as interest. It's called annual percentage rate or APR. So interest is the charge for privilege of borrowing money. Alright. Interest rate interpretation with regard to required rate of return, discount rate, and opportunity cost explicitly required in your learning outcome statement. So interest rates are also referred as discount rate. Discount rate is nothing new. Some people get confused. What is the difference between interest rate and discount rate? In fact, the terms are often used interchangeably. Interest rates are discount rates. Remember, interest rates are discount rates. In fact, it's just the view. We are looking from other aspect. For example, if an individual can borrow funds at an interest rate of 10%, then that individual should discount the payments that he will make in year 1, year 2, in year 3. He should discount these future payments at 10% discount rate. Right? So interest rates and discount rate, they move in opposite direction, but they are the same. So effectively these terms are used interchangeably. Then the third aspect is opportunity cost. We can also view interest rates as opportunity cost of current consumption. If an investor chooses to consume rather than saving, so for such an investor, the lost interest income that he could have earned through savings represents his opportunity cost. Right? So interest, discount rate, opportunity cost, they are the same aspects of the same entity that we are viewing from different aspects. Alright, next. Risk-free rate. When we use the word risk-free rate, remember the interest rate on US Treasury bills, US bonds, sovereign bonds, they are considered risk-free. So US T-bills rates are considered as risk-free rates. Remember, when you use the word real risk-free rate, means these are the interest rates excluding the effect of inflation, means adjustment for inflation has been made. So when we say the nominal risk-free rate, it includes the real risk-free rate plus some inflation premium. What is inflation? I'm sure all of you know, because just we are having an overview. So I'm just gliding through the text instead of just spending time on minute things. We are just gliding through so that we can focus exactly where do we need to put the focus on. So nominal risk-free rate is the sum of real risk-free rate plus inflation premium. So you can define this, the nominal risk-free rate is the sum of real risk-free rate plus expected inflation. Then what is default risk? Default risk is, let's say if you buy a bond, the issuer, the company that is issued the bond, which you call the borrower, the risk that the borrower will not make the promised payments on time. This risk of defaulting on the principal payment and interest, this is called default risk, right? Next, liquidity risk premium. Liquidity risk, like for example, you have a certain bond currently traded at $100, but in order to sell in a forced sale, you just get $98 for the sale of this bond. This forced sale has resulted in a loss of $2. This is called liquidity risk premium, means the difference between the fair value $100 and the price at which you sell it at a forced sale. The risk of receiving less than the fair value of an investment is called the liquidity risk premium. It must be sold for cash quickly for $98. The difference between these two is called the liquidity risk, and that has to be compensated in your interest rate risk. Then we have the maturity risk premium. Let's say you have two bonds. One has 10 years maturity, other has 5 years maturity. Now, there is a difference in maturity. The 10 years bond will be more volatile than the bond issued for 5 years maturity. So, 10 years maturity bond will have more maturity risk than 5 years bonds, and hence it will require a maturity risk premium. For example, if the 10 years bond is offering coupon 4%, 6% let's say, and the 5-year bond is offering 4%, so this difference is because of the maturity. Let's say keeping all other factors same, keeping all other factors constant, so the difference between these rates is caused by the difference in maturity. One is 10 years maturity, other is 5 years, so this difference 2% represents the maturity risk premium. So we can come up with this equation. The required interest rate on a particular security is equal to the nominal risk-free rate, which is the sum of these two, plus default risk premium, plus liquidity risk premium, plus maturity risk premium. There's a very good question at the first question in your end of chapter questions in your curriculum. We will do it today. That will explain the idea very well. That's when I say 1090. You just get a basic idea from the textbook. The rest of it is explained through questions. So if some things are remaining not fully explained, please hold on. Everything will be explained when we'll be doing questions. So that's the idea. The reading, the text will give you the overview. The questions will fill in the gaps wherever you find those gaps. So stay tuned. Don't worry. Everything will be covered. Moving on. Effective annual rate. What is effective annual rate? Compounding. For example, let's say if I invest 10%, a certain amount of money at 10% interest rate. After 1 year, let's say if I invest $100, after 1 year this amount will become $110. After the end of year 2, the amount would be 110 times 121. So what is happening? The first year interest of $10 is added to the principal. The amount becomes 110. The next year interest is charged on this 110. So every next payment considers the preceding amount as the base. $100 was the base for the interest for the first year. $110 will be the base for the second year, and so on and so forth. In this, the compounding period is 1 year because the interest is calculated on a yearly basis. Sometimes the compounding might be done in different time period rather than yearly. It could be quarterly, it could be monthly, it could be daily, it could be continuous as well. So remember, the effective interest rate calculates the rate that incorporates the impact of compounding. And this is the formula we use to calculate the compound interest rate. You have the stated annual rate, APR. Let's say if the period of compounding, like in 1 year, we compound interest rate 4 times every quarter. So let's say if the nominal rate of interest is 12%, so it's going to be 1 plus 12 upon 4. And you need to write M means the number of times we compound in 1 year. 4 minus 1. The result of this will give you the effective interest rate. I recommend to use the your business analyst calculator. That is very quick in computation. Let me show you how we can do it. Now we have this question: using a stated rate of 6%, compute EAR, effective annual rate, for semi-annual, quarterly, monthly and daily compounding. So you can either use this formula, plug in the annual rate, the nominal rate divided with the compounding period, and raise it to the power how many times the amount is computed in 1 year, minus 1, and you get the effective interest rate. We can do this quickly using your financial calculator right here. Now what's the function here? Your nominal rate is 6%. Your compounding first is done semi-annually, that is twice in 1 year. Quarterly, that is 4 times per period, 4 times in 1 year. Monthly, that is 12 times in 1 year. And then daily. So let us see how do we do this on the financial calculator. For this, you need to press second icon, that is interest rate conversion. It will ask nominal rate. Nominal rate is 6. You enter 6, up arrow key. How many times do we compound? For the first time, the first line says semi-annual, that is twice in 1 year. So you enter 2. And now you simply press compute. 6.09, as you can see, this is the effective annual rate when the compounding period is 2 times 1 year. So what about when the compounding is done quarterly? So in that case, you will have to change your compounding period to 4. Enter, up, compute. 6.136, as you can see. Then if the compounding is done on monthly basis, then you will have to simply change the compounding cycle, that is compounding per period, to 12. Enter, up arrow key and compute. 6.168, right? And then lastly, if the compounding is done daily, so you will have to change the compounding cycle to 365. Enter, up arrow key and compute. It's 6.183. So as you can see, as the frequency of compounding is increasing, your effective interest rate is increasing. So it's a very important concept that you need to understand right here. Your effective interest rate would increase as the frequency of compounding increases. If there is more, like in this first case, 2-time frequency, twice compounding, 6.09, 4 times 6.13, 12 times in 1 year, 6.168, and if the compounding is done 365 times in 1 year, the effective rate is 6.183. Remember, effective interest rate would be higher if the frequency per year is higher. And an important point to remember here, it is increasing. When the frequency of compounding is increased, the effective interest rate also increases, but it increases decreasingly. With the increase in frequency of compounding, effective interest rate increases, but it increases decreasingly. You can see in the first one, the increase was for 0.4%, then it was 0.3%, and then it reached to 0.2%. So it is increasing, but it is increasing decreasingly. Right. Now, the effective annual rate when there are m compounding periods, you can either use this formula or you can simply use the calculator I've shown you. What is the effective annual rate for credit card that charges 18% compounded monthly? You will simply use your calculator. 18% compounded monthly. So I think we have to change the nominal rate. Nominal rate is 18% and frequency of compounding is 12 months. Enter, compute. 19.56, that makes C to be the correct option. Now, given daily compounding, the growth of $5,000 daily compounding, that is 365 times in 1 year, frequency is 365. So given daily compounding, the growth of 5,000 invested for 1 year at 12% interest will be closest to what? So first of all, you will need to calculate the rate first. 12%, the nominal rate is 12%, so you'll have to change the interest rate to 12. Enter, up arrow key, cycle of frequency of compounding 365, 365, enter, up arrow key, and that gives you an effective rate of 12.74. So 5,000 if invested for 12.74% for 1 year, the interest would be $637. So this interest together with the principal give you a total amount of $5,637. So that gives you C to be the correct option. All right, time value of money. Next idea within this learning outcome statement, time value of money. For this, you may have to draw the number line starting with the 0. 0 represents now. This represents 1 year, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The time value of money is the concept that the money you have now is worth more than the identical sums in the future. Like for example, if I have $10 to be received in the future or $10 now, I would prefer $10 now. A bird in hand is better than 2 in the bush. Or what you can say, think like a Satan. Enjoy now and then we will see the God later. Nauzubillah. That's the idea. Enjoy now. Now a bird in hand is better than 2 in the bush. That's the basic idea of time value of money. So the time value of money is the concept that money you have now is worth more than the identical sum in the future due to its potential earning capacity. Money grows into the future at certain rate called compounding, and when the future sum of money is brought in the present term, it shrinks. So in the future the money grows. In the reverse order it shrinks. So the core principle of finance holds that provided money can earn interest, any amount of money is worth more the sooner it is received. So $10 received now is worth more than the $10 that you will receive at the end of 1 year. How do we calculate the future value and the present value of a single sum of money? This is the formula which you may use in circumstances, but I would recommend that you will have to see it on case-to-case basis, because this is not always advisable. Sometimes you can get result very quickly using financial calculator. So Future value, if PV represents the value of certain investment you made right now, and this represents interest per period raised to the power n for the number of periods, it will give you the future value for investment. So future value of an investment can be calculated using this formula. We will try to use it by plugging some numbers, and this is the formula you will use to calculate the present value. These are all the basic things. I'm just flying. I'm just trying to make sure that we complete the agenda. We have huge area to cover, so I just have to rush. All right, moving on. Compounding, the idea we already discussed. Frequency of compounding could be quarterly, biannually, monthly, daily, or continuous as well. There could be continuous compounding as well, and we'll discuss it in a question. So compounding, when the single payment is carried into the future with a certain interest being added to the original amount every period, this is called compounding, right? This is called compounding. That is taking the money to the future at a certain rate. Once the cash flows are assigned to these periods, let's say $10,000 inflow in the year 2, year 3, and so on, and we have to calculate the present future value at the end of year 5, for example. Once the cash flows are assigned to a timeline, they may be moved to the beginning of the investment period. In this case, this is called discounting, bringing these cash flows to the present term at year 0 now, or you may have to take these amounts into the future. So bringing these cash flows in the present term, it's called discounting. Bringing the future cash flows through a process to bring them in the present term is called discounting, and doing the reverse and taking these cash flows to the future to the end of the period 5 or whatever the period is called compounding. Khalas, no need to do anything else. Rest of it would be covered through the questions. Now this is the question that the overall structure of your financial calculator. The focus would be on the TVM area. This one, N represents the number of compounding periods, how many times the payments are compounded, once a year or twice a year, biannually, quarterly, monthly, daily, etc., or continuously. I/Y represent interest rate per compounding period. We will apply all these in questions shortly. PV represents present value. We just discussed this a little while earlier. And FV represents future value. And the PMT, it is the payment or the collection or the payment. It's an inflow or an outflow. Annuity payments or constant periodic cash flows. They can be outflows, can be inflows. How do we use these keys? Let us see through questions. And then finally the button, very important one, computation. This is used to compute the values that you have entered in the table in your financial calculator. Let us see first. Given an interest rate of 10%, calculate the future value of $200 flow that will be invested today for 2 years. This is the conventional formula. You'll put this $200 here. 1 plus rate of interest is 10% raised to the period 2, and you will simply calculate your future value, that is 242. We can do it much quickly using our financial calculator, TVM computations. What we will do, these are the keys. We just need to write down the appropriate numbers for input. There are 2 years, 2 periods. Interest rate is 10. The present value of the cash is 200. Write negative, it's an outflow. If it's an inflow, write plus. Remember, that's the difference you need to keep in mind. And there is no frequent payments, PMT is 0. We need to calculate the future value, simply press CPT and then FV, it'll get to the future value. So let us plug in the numbers. 2 represents, let's quit first the icon function. 2 is N, 10% is the interest rate, 200 negative represents your present value, 0 PMT, and you just need to compute your future value. You get the same number, 242. So it saves you a lot of time. Instead of just plugging in the numbers, and you just simply punch in the right numbers and you'll get your result. So this was the future value of a single sum. A single sum invested right now as an outflow. After 2 years, this will be its future value. 242 can be calculated using this formula, or you can use this formula. And I will give you suggestions, my suggestions, what you should be doing. This is my suggestion. You should use this one. It'll save a lot of time. Then you have future value of an annuity. What is an annuity? Recursive payment. Annuity is a recursive periodic payment or receipt or a repetitive payment or receipt. There are two types of annuities, annuity ordinary and annuity due. If the first payment is to be made at the end of a period, it is called an ordinary annuity. Right? Just like in this question, what is the future value of an ordinary annuity that pays $200 per year at the end of each of the next 3 years? And mind the word, if the periodic payments are made at the end of the period, they are called ordinary annuity. And if the payments are to be made or are to be received right now, it's called annuity due. So right now what we are doing is ordinary annuity. What is the future value of an ordinary annuity that pays $200 per year at the end of each of the next 3 years, given the investment is expected to earn 10% rate of return? Now there are two ways to do it. First, we have this formula where you can just simply plug in the free recursive amount of $200. You plug in the rate of interest 10%, raised to the power 2. Compounding is done yearly, so we just don't have to change. We don't need to change the rate. Raised to the power, how many years? 3 years minus 1 upon the rate. Now this will give you 662. We can do this using our financial calculator. You simply need to plug in the right numbers. The period 3. It says 3 years. Interest rate 10%. Present value, we are interested in future value, 0. Payments $200. Future values to be calculated. Simply call the calculator function, plug in the numbers, and you'll get your result. 3 is period. Interest rate 10. Present value 0. Payment negative 200. And you will calculate the future value. Compute the future value. You get the exact result. You simply punched in 3 to 4 keys and you got your result. So in this case, if you have to calculate the present or future value of the annuity, I would recommend the use of financial calculator. Moving on, we have way past the 20 minutes target. Rush, people, rush. Now, next, what is the future value of an annuity that pays $200 per year at the beginning of each of the next 3 years? This is annuity due. Annuity due, as I said, it starts from right now. If the cash flows can be invested at the annual rate. This is the formula which you can use. Simply plug in the recursive amount, the rate of interest, the periods, and 1 plus R. This is the difference between these two formulas. This is for the ordinary annuity and this is for the annuity due. So that's why I recommend the use of calculator. You simply need to punch in the right numbers and you get your result. Instead of memorizing these formulas, it will be much more easier for you to compute it using the calculator. So if you plug in the numbers, this is the number that you get using your formula. But what if we use the financial calculator? Let us plug in. Remember, it's annuity due. Its computation is little different. I'll show you. Now, first of all, the periodic payments are 3. Interest rate is same as 10%. Everything is the same. Just like in the previous question, this is the annuity due. The previous one was ordinary annuity. So everything is the same. Just the difference is it's the beginning and here it was at the end. So gentlemen, 3 is N. Interest rate is 10%. Present value is 0. We are interested in the future value. Payments 200 and we are interested in future value. Now the problem is you have to make some adjustment in your financial calculator since it's the annuity ordinary annuity due. So for that we have to make some adjustments. First, quit this one. Second, PMT. Second, set. This will bring your calculator in the beginning mode for annuity due computations. Now you just need to plug in the numbers and you get your result. 3. So first you need to quit. Now it's in the beginning. As you can see, now it's in the beginning mode. So you will enter 3 N. 10%. 0 is the present value. 200 is the payment. And finally you'll calculate your future value. It's 728.20. Straight away, without the need of memorizing any formula, you just got the result. There's a quick way also. If you have already calculated your ordinary annuity future value, which was in this case 662, multiply this with the rate 1 plus R, you will end up with the same number, 728. So I recommend the use of financial calculator. That is much speedier, much quicker way of doing things. Next, future value of annuity and annuity due, the timeline of uneven cash flows. If the cash flows are uneven and you have to calculate the future value, my recommended approach in this case is that you need to use this formula. If you need to convert these future cash flows at the end of year 3 in the future value, so you will use this formula, 300 multiplied by 1 plus 2, since there are 2 periods, 1 plus, let's say we haven't been given interest rate, write 4% or simply R, 1 plus R raised to the power 2. This will convert this 300 from year 1 to the end of year 3. This 600 will be multiplied with 1 plus R raised to the power 1. It will convert 600 into the future period at the end of year 3. And finally, this 200 is already there, which means 1 plus R raised to the power 0 means just 1. So this is how we can use this formula to calculate the futures value of uneven cash flows. Remember, gentlemen, you will come across questions where you will have to find the future values of uneven cash flow, and at that particular moment, this is the helpful formula. Calculating future value individually using financial calculator will be hard. You can just plug it, and scientifically you can plug in 2, 1 and 0 and just simply 1 and you will get the future value. This is the recommended formula in case if you have to calculate the future value of uneven cash flows. Right, now, present value of single sum. How much must be invested today at 8% to accumulate enough to retire 10,000 debt due 7 years from today? Now we have to calculate the present value of single sum. This is the formula. You can plug in the future value, $10,000, 1 plus R, 8%. This will convert this $10,000, which used to be paid after 1 year, it will convert it into present value. So this is one of the way you can use this formula to find the present value of a single sum, or you can use your financial calculator. Here you will take 7 years from today. So it's not a yearly payment basically, 7 years from today. So N is 7, interest rate is 8%, present value is to be calculated, how much must be invested today so as to receive $10,000 7 years from now. So, and payment is 0 and future value is $10,000. So this future $10,000 is to be settled. How much should be invested now in order to enable us to pay off this $10,000 debt 7 years from now? So you'll just plug in the numbers in your calculator and you will get your result. 7 periods, and remember, I should have done it. Remember, whenever you have changed the calculator mode to beginning for annuity due, you have to bring it back, else you will get wrong calculation. So second PMT or second, and then now it's at the end function. It should always be at the end. Quit. Now 7 periods, 8 interest rate, 10,000 negative future value. We have to calculate the present value, 5834. So the data was correct. I was just maybe improperly pressing some key. So we got the result. It's 583. So there are 2 ways. Either you can plug in the formula or you can directly use your financial calculator. I would recommend again, for question like these, use your financial calculator. Formula will take time and you might make mistake as well. Okay, present value of annuity or annuity due. Given a discount rate of 10%, what is the present value of an annuity that makes 200 payments at the beginning of each of the next 3 years? So again, you have 2 ways of doing it. Either you can use your formula or you can simply plug it in the calculator and you will get your result. So here you will put 200 as your payments, interest rate as 10%, the periods 3, and you will calculate your present value of annuity due. Else you can use your calculator to get your result. Let us do it using the financial calculator. Here, let us calculate it first, present value of ordinary annuity. And then we will multiply it with the 1 plus y and we'll convert it into annuity due. Or we can directly calculate the annuity due. Let us save time. We can directly calculate the present value of annuity due by bringing our calculator in the beginning mode. N would be 3. There are 3 periods. Interest rate is 10. Present value is to be calculated because we need to calculate the present value. That will be the question mark. PMT is negative 200 and the future value will be 0. We'll simply press in the numbers in your calculator and get your result. All right. Second, PMT, second set. Now in the beginning mode, enter 3, quit. 3 is N, interest rate is 10, present values to be calculated, the payments are 200 negative, and the future value is 0. You simply press compute and PV. Here we go, 547.11. It will calculate the present value of annuity due straightforward. Otherwise, you may have to calculate the ordinary annuity, then multiply with this. So we can simply use the calculator function, annuity due, and we can simply plug in the numbers to get our result. Moving on to another question. Cordon Corporation issues preferred stock that will pay 4.5 per year in annual dividends beginning next year and plans to follow this dividend policy forever. Given an 8% rate of return, what is the value of preferred stock today? This is perpetuity, gentlemen. Perpetuity means the cash flows for eternity, forever, till the end of the time, figuratively speaking. But literally, cash flows from bonds or preferred stock which do not have fixed maturity is called perpetuity. You simply need to plug in the numbers, payment $4.5 and the rate is 8%. That will give you the present value perpetuity, the present value of the stock, and it will be 56.25. So regular recursive payments divided by the interest rate will calculate the present value perpetuity. Straightforward calculation, there won't be any twist in this type of question. Present value of perpetuity done already. Timeline for uneven cash flows. Now gentlemen, this is important. Now this is important. As I said, if you have to calculate the future values of these cash flows, use this formula for each cash flow. But if you have to calculate the present value, maybe there are 5 or 6 different cash flows, 300 or maybe 700. What you will do then? Applying formula on each one. For the future value, we have to do it. But for the present value, we can use another function in our TVM computations. We can calculate the present value of these uneven cash flows using the NPV function. Let me show you how it works. We have, let's say, these are just 3 payments and we have to bring them in the present term. And let's assume the rate of interest to be used for discounting is 10%. So let's see how this is the suggested method to calculate the present value of uneven future cash flows. Remember, for the future cash flows, for the future value, this is the formula you should use. And in order to bring these future cash flows in the present one, I am going to use the calculator function for NPV1 that will help you do this computation much more quickly. Clear? Quit. Now, we have assumed that the interest rate is 10%. So the arrangement would be cash flow at year 0 is 0. Enter, down arrow key. The first year cash flow is $300. Enter, enter down arrow key twice, representing a single cash flow, not repetitive or there's single frequency. Then $600, enter, down arrow key twice, plus 200 inflow. And the last you press CPT, compute, NPV to be calculated at 10%, enter, down arrow key and CPT. It will calculate your present value of these uneven future cash flows. This is the quickest way of doing it. Otherwise, applying formula on single sum separately will take time. So let us plug it in and see how does it work. So first CF0, enter, down arrow key. It wasn't cleared. No. 0, enter, down arrow key. First cash flow is 300. It's a single cash flow, no frequency. 600. Enter, down arrow key twice because frequency is 1. If it's repetitive, you can enter the frequency of cash flows. Then we have 200. Enter, down arrow key twice. Compute NPV. The system will ask to enter the discount rate, that is 10%. 10, enter, down arrow key and CPT. This will give you the present value of these 3 cash flows, 300, 600, 200. There could be multiple cash flows, maybe 10, 12 cash flows. This is the quickest and recommended way to calculate the present value of the future uneven cash flows. But to calculate the future value of uneven cash flows, you will have to use this formula. That's the recommended approach. So gentlemen, that's end of your reading 6, time value of money.